anticipating Halloween. The leaves are starting to turn red. We're sort of like the appetizer to Halloween. Toronto After Dark is getting you in the mood. So imagination runs wild. We chose the name After Dark partly so that it could appeal to wherever your darkest imagination can go to. So sometimes there's something about when a scare happens, you see the audience kind of jump in their seats and then you hear them giggle and laugh. And so I think comedy and horror are actually often, you know, two sides of a similar coin. You're releasing a lot of energy and then there's the calm afterwards. Halloween is very special for me because when I moved to Canada about 20 years ago, one of the first Halloween parties I went to, I dressed up as a zombie and I met a cute girl who was dressed as a bumblebee. We got talking. 2 years after that, we got married. So it's always got a very special place in my heart, I should say. In the last 14 years, we've noticed that horror has gone maybe from being a sort of cult oddity to definitely being more mainstream. And in some ways that's good. In some ways we kind of miss being the sort of freaky, geeky cousin that was like, oh, you're not going to that festival. Like After Dark was a bit of a cult festival. It's great to kind of be big in a way, but you know, there was something to be said, I guess, for being grungy. Back in our early days, we were at an old vintage cinema that you might be able to see behind me here, the Bloor Cinema. And the Bloor Cinema is a 1930s Art Deco movie theatre. It doesn't quite look like this anymore. It's now the Rogers Hot Docs Theatre. But it was a really lovely old vintage 1930s grunge theatre. And we really enjoyed sort of being there. The chairs and seats were a bit rickety. The bathrooms were scary. And the old projection booth was just terrifying. I would go in there and you would just look at cobwebs everywhere. So I guess one of the funny things about running Toronto After Dark Film Festival, everyone assumes I'm Mr. Halloween. Like we even had one of our volunteers a few years ago carve this wonderful Toronto After Dark logo in one of our decoration pumpkins. And then I kind of looked at it and I thought, I've just run a festival for 9 nights and I'm exhausted. So I have a bit of a love-hate relationship. I know that sounds weird. Overall, I love it. It's helped me find my thing. I didn't know what to do with my life when I lost my parents. That was a sad backstory that some people don't know about me. But I lost my mum and dad and I was in my late 20s and I was kind of lost. I was working in advertising in Toronto and I thought, when was I happiest? And I was trying to think. And then I remembered it's when I ran my horror and sci-fi geek club and I was 13 years old and I was in high school in England. I thought, how am I going to go back to that? What is running a horror and sci-fi club in your 20s? What is that like? And then I heard about these things called film festivals and I didn't know anything about them, but I started going to them and I realized that Toronto didn't have a festival that just played my kind of movies. So that was the origin of Toronto After Dark. We've had relationships happen, couples, and we had our first Toronto After Dark baby a few years ago. So yeah, people meeting other like-minded souls, being scared in the night in the last 10 days for Halloween. We've made a lot of happy stories. One of the things I would say is that sometimes people, when they dress up for Halloween, they show their true selves. Their personality comes out. That one night that, whether you're kids or adults, you can act with this childlike wonder. You can take on fantastic characters and roles and dress up, and you can really express yourself. Kids are more uninhibited and get to just play. I have a young daughter, and when I see how much fun she has, sometimes as a grown-up, I'm a little jealous of that we can't do that. And I think Halloween sort of opens that up. So you're able to become a free spirit, so to speak. And maybe that was what led to my special connection with my wife on Halloween night, is that we got to see our inner selves.